Welcome to the Department of Language and Linguistic Science. Our virtual open day is about you and about helping you to make the right decision about which course to choose. We'll explain why we think York is your best choice for a degree in language and linguistics and what sorts of things you'll study with us. We'll also give you a little detail about what support structures we provide for our students, and then we'll touch briefly on the kinds of careers our graduates go into after they complete their degrees. I'm Dom Watt, one of 4 admissions tutors for the department. My colleagues are Tamar Curran-Portnoy, who specialises in child language and the way adults talk to children to help them learn languages. Ellie Rye is a historian of English and focuses in particular on the history of names, including place names. Angela O'Flaherty teaches modules in French and has interests in French cinema and 20th century history. My own specialisms are in forensic linguistics and phonetics, with some sociolinguistics thrown in. We're quite a large department of our type, certainly one of the biggest in the UK. Of over 30 full-time academic staff, 12 teach languages and the rest teach and do research on the English language and linguistics sides. Our staff-student ratio is quite generous. We have fewer than 500 students in total, of which some 400 are undergraduates. What makes us distinct from other departments that teach the same subjects? Well, we're unusual in that we combine the study of languages and linguistics under one roof. We believe that if you're learning a language, it helps if you know some linguistics, and in order to understand linguistics, it's very useful to know more than one language. We don't make that a requirement though, as you'll see on the next slide. Our courses are of 4 main types. In the green corner, you can study linguistics on its own, or combine it with English language. The second of these courses is our most popular. Around half of our intake each year has signed up for this combination of subjects. Moving down, we have the 1 Language Plus Linguistics degrees. These are of 2 types, 3-year and 4-year degrees. Most of our languages students go on a year abroad in their 3rd year, and while we'd strongly recommend that as a way of helping get your language up to a high level of fluency, it's not compulsory. The 3-year degrees place more of an emphasis on linguistics, hence the ordering of subjects in the degree name. But everyone will do some linguistics. As I mentioned, we think that's important. In the upper right-hand blue box, we have our 2 language degrees. You can take any of these ab initio from scratch, but not both languages. You need an A-level or equivalent qualification in at least one of them. Note though that you can't do Italian unless you're doing it ab initio. We don't accept students who have A-level Italian onto our Italian degrees. Finally, in the orange corner you'll see combined degrees, which we teach with our sister departments English and Related Literature, History and Philosophy. You can do English literature and linguistics, history and French, philosophy and linguistics, French and philosophy, or German and philosophy. The combined courses that include a modern foreign language are 4-year degrees, because they also include a year abroad. At this point, some of you might be thinking, okay, I know what French and Spanish and history and philosophy are, but what is linguistics? It's to do with language, I know that much, but can you define it in a simple way? Linguistics is often called the science of language. We study language in all of its forms, using scientific principles and methods. It sits at the interface between the arts and humanities, on the one hand, and the social and physical sciences on the other. When studying the subject, you might go straight from learning about how meaningful sounds are emitted by the human vocal tract to looking at how they evoke associations, emotions, and attitudes in the minds of people who hear them. Consider the power of our words to cause offence, or provoke fear, or to create solidarity and friendships between people. You might look in one class at the histories of words and names from 1,000 years ago, and in the next be designing an experiment to test whether native speakers of a language find invented sentences grammatical or not. This is a list of areas of linguistics we consider to be core. Phonetics and phonology deal with the sounds of speech and how languages combine them in different ways into syllables and words. Syntax concerns how languages then combine word-sized units into bigger structures like phrases, clauses, and sentences. In semantics, we consider how meaning is encoded by our utterances, while sociolinguistics is to do with how languages vary across geographical and social space and change over time. Finally, in the study of language acquisition, we examine how children start to learn languages virtually as soon as they're born, and how this process differs from the way we learn languages as adults. Now, you might be wondering what makes linguistics different from English language. In linguistics, we don't focus in particular on English, but obviously, because it's the language that's shared by everyone in the room, we use it for illustrative purposes a lot. But there are more than 7,000 other languages in the world to choose from. There are the ones that are spoken or signed today, but there are others which are now extinct, and quite a few invented languages too, conlangs like Klingon or Dothraki or Elvish. We think all languages are worthy of study, whether it be to look at their structural properties, how they're used by their speakers, and how they're acquired by children and adults. English language focuses much more closely on the history and present-day status of English, of course. But you can't study what English is like without considering other languages, and the influence they've had on its structure, its historical development over the past 1500 years, and how it's used all over the world today. It's a truly fascinating story. A fascination with language in all its guises is what drives us to do research in our chosen subject areas. York is home to some of the world's leading scholars and thinkers in linguistics and English language. This feeds back to our students, who will have the chance to see where the leading edge of our different disciplines has got to. Like other Russell Group universities, much of our teaching is research-led, which means that the combination of subjects we teach isn't exactly the same as you'll find anywhere else. Because we're quite a big department of our kind, we offer a broad spectrum of subjects, but also a good deal of depth. If you wish to specialise in something that interests you or which you think might be useful for a future career, we encourage you to do so. You can take the opportunity to do an original research project of your own. There's plenty of flexibility built into our degrees. I'd like to move on now to talk about our language degrees. We offer French, German, Italian and Spanish at degree level. Our focus is on getting you fluent in your chosen language or languages. We're aiming to develop your skills in speaking, listening, reading and writing to an extremely high level. To that end, we do almost all of our teaching in the target language. The only exception is one optional translation module in final year. We use a method called content and language integrated learning. Students learn about the cultures, societies and histories of the countries in which the language is spoken through the medium of the language. They learn both simultaneously. We also place a lot of emphasis on having our students develop intercultural awareness and understanding, critical thinking and analytical skills. To achieve those aims, we expose our students to the big issues in those parts of the world where the language is spoken. We explore the cultural debates that preoccupy people in France and Spain and Latin America, and look at the political systems of the German and Italian-speaking world. Understanding these topics demands a good grasp of the histories of these regions too. This can be done by looking at books, journals, newspapers and magazines, of course, but also by analysing films, artworks and other cultural products such as political speeches. What we don't do, unlike many other language departments around the country, is demand that our students become familiar with a canon of literature in French or German or Italian or Spanish. You can study novels and plays and poems in one of our language degrees if you wish, but it's not a compulsory element. Starting a language from scratch means you have to work hard in your first year. By the end of it, you'll be ready to merge streams with your post-A-level fellow students. But we're told it's a really rewarding experience. Here's a quote from Matt, who took the ab initio route and had a great time doing so. On our 4-year programmes, you spend the 3rd year abroad. There are different things you can do on it. We can help you to arrange a position as a language assistant working for the British Council. Alternatively, you can go on a work placement or internship to get some other form of work experience. The slide shows some examples of organisations that have hosted our year abroad students. You can instead, or as well, attend classes at one of our partner universities, of which we have a good number, mainly in continental Europe, but also in other parts of the world. If you're on a 2-language degree, you can split your year abroad between 2 countries. Tuition fees for the year you spend abroad are heavily reduced. You pay just 15% of the usual fee. The feedback we get from our year abroad students is extremely positive. It'll help you to develop your language skills enormously, but it's also very valuable in terms of your personal development more generally. It'll broaden your horizons enormously as well, as these quotes from former year abroad students confirm. Teaching-wise, you'll receive a broad mix of different types of classes. Lectures in fairly large groups, smaller group teaching in the form of seminars and group study sessions, lab practicals and the like. You also do a lot of self-study. Most of your working week will be spent outside of the classroom, in fact. For the 2021-22 academic year, we're planning to deliver our teaching as we normally do. In the more immediate term, we're delivering as much teaching on campus as we can, but we'll give classes online where we have to. Contact hours tend to follow the pattern you see here. For the languages we teach, including English language, you get at least 4 hours of classes per language per week. That number's a bit higher for those of you taking languages ab initio, for obvious reasons. In linguistics, you'll get 2 or more hours worth of classes per module per week in first year. After that, it'll be around the 3 to 4 hour mark per module per week. In total, you can expect something like 12 to 21 contact hours per week in your first year. That figure includes other forms of collective learning, such as PAL sessions. PAL stands for Peer Assisted Learning, where you get together with your classmates to work on material in preparation for upcoming classes. There are other sessions on offer too, for example, ones which are oriented towards helping you to adjust to academic culture. To help you consolidate what you've learned in lectures, and from doing the reading and exercises, we lay on backup sessions led by tutors who are there to facilitate and clarify points you feel you don't yet completely understand. I mentioned that our staff-student ratio is a good one. We don't have giant classes like you'll see at some other universities. Even our biggest lecture groups for English language and linguistics won't be more than about 140 students in size. For modern languages, lecture class sizes don't exceed 40. Seminar groups are considerably smaller. We split you into groups of maybe a dozen or 2 dozen to do more interactive work. Our seminar support sessions are attended by anything from a handful of students to groups of about 30. We also provide open hours, which are drop-in sessions at which you can see a member of teaching staff on a one-to-one basis. We know that starting university can be quite a challenge, so we've put in place lots of support structures to help you cope with all the various demands on your time. We have so-called hidden iceberg sessions, at which you can voice any issues going on under the surface, so to speak. We have those backup sessions I've already mentioned. We also assign all of our new first-year students an academic supervisor. That person might not teach you at any point, but you can go to him or her with any problems you might be experiencing with your studies or with student life outside the classroom. The Students' Union also has support mechanisms to help you if needed. Mental health issues are all too commonplace these days, and so the university's Open Door team are ready to help you work through things you're concerned about. The college structure also promotes student well-being. You need never feel like you're going through things alone. They lay on lots of workshops aimed at helping you to address the sorts of things that students often experience, setting yourself impossibly high standards, time management, and so on. We have a dedicated disability service which provides support to students with disabilities of all different kinds. They put together a student support plan, which is a contract between the university and the student, which will guarantee that reasonable adjustments are made on the student's behalf in relation to learning, teaching, and other aspects of the student experience. The departmental disability rep ensures that these measures are put in place consistently and in a timely way for anyone who requires them. Looking next at assessment, we assess our students during and at the end of each module using a wide variety of different techniques, ranging from traditional closed exams, open exams to take home to work on over a short period, practical work, essays, sometimes quite long ones, lab reports, which can be very short sometimes, oral exams, and group projects, which are often assessed via a group presentation. All of your modules count towards your final degree mark. In first year, you just have to pass all of your modules to progress to second year. It's the second and final year marks that contribute to your final degree class. The weighting increases towards the end of your degree. Your second year marks are worth 40% of the final grade, with the remaining 60% being made up of your final year marks. Being keen on all things to do with language, we encourage all of our students, including those who aren't on language degrees, to consider taking language classes during their time with us. You can take most of the languages you see here for credit by building them into your degree. The ones in red are the exceptions. We call these elective modules, and you don't pay anything extra for them. Alternatively, you can take them alongside your degree as day or evening classes. There's a fee involved, but it's not a large one, as it's subsidised by the university. Some of the languages you see here can be taken through LFA to A-level standard and beyond. Not only is studying foreign languages relevant for our English language and linguistics degrees, it's fun, interesting, mind-broadening, and looks great on your CV. Employers are very keen on graduates with language skills. What are we looking for in terms of entrance qualifications? It's AAB at A-level or equivalent. For the relevant degrees, we ask for good A-level grades in French, German, or Spanish, while for our combined degrees with English literature and history, you need an A in that subject. For international baccalaureate students, we want 34 points as a minimum, of which 6 should be at higher level in the subjects in question. Some adjustment can be made for applicants to our department who've completed an extended project qualification, or our MOOC, Massive Open Online Course in Accents, Attitudes and Identity. You can access this for free through the Future Learn website. We will also make adjustments for applicants from underrepresented groups through our commitment to widening participation. What sorts of jobs do our graduates go on to do? It's a very broad range of things. You can see some examples here, but this is just a random selection from a very long list indeed. We're very proud of our graduate employment rate and of the diversity of occupations that our graduates fill. in every corner of the globe. To find out more about what we do and what we can offer you, visit our website. You can also drop us a line by emailing us at the address you see here. We'd be very happy to answer your questions. If you're looking for a bit of reading matter to whet your appetite, here are some titles we recommend. There are lots more besides these. For example, David Crystal's many books on language provide entertaining and accessible introductions to language study and the world of linguistics. We look forward to welcoming you to our dynamic and friendly department. One department, multiple programs, endless opportunities.